Hosanna, Matthew, judges, students, friends, it's a great pleasure to be here. I guess I can come here to speak as a guest of honor because I wouldn't be speaking here as a contestant. I wouldn't be qualified for that. I share your passion, your enthusiasm of organizing this contest, and I particularly want to make a note about what the MC said about this. It's not a contest. It's not only a speech making. It's about outreaching, about promoting the use of English, like Rosanna just mentioned, and also the promoting the habit or the art of public speaking. Public speaking is indeed a very difficult act. It's a very difficult high art form. And yet it's very practical. It's a way we communicate. Of course, if you think about speech making at the highest art form with the most practical relevance and usefulness, you have to think about the political speech making. How many of us remember political leaders by the speeches they make? In fact, this is how we remember them. We don't remember a lot of policies they do. We remember the speeches they make. We all remember JFK's speech. We all remember Martin Luther King's speech. And coming closer to home, to our country, how many people actually remember what our leaders, like Premier Wen Jiabao, his very poetic deliverance of points that he wanted to get across. This is how we remember our leaders by. So political speech making is indeed the art form. And of course, what makes a public speaking effective, if you think about how those speeches are made and what are the contents, it is not just the flowery language, the rhetoric. It's the contents. It's how the electorate, how the voters see in the person who made those speeches. Of course, the best-known orator in today's politics is none other than Obama. Okay. How did he rise to his political stardom? How did he pop up in the national scene in American politics? It's a speech he made in 2004, I think, in one of the Democratic convention. He was asked to give a keynote speech, and that keynote speech he made in that convention launched him to political stardom. People reacted to him. People sympathetic with him. People really communicate and connected with him. And during his campaign, as some of us probably watched, he made, of course, many speeches. But like so many politicians, we make just the, what we call standard stump speeches. You go around, you keep on talking about the same thing all over because, you give the same speech every day, 10 times. So you basically get used to it. You just keep on delivering the same speech. But there are always a few speeches that define a character, that define the person, that connect the voters to Obama as a candidate or as a president. One speech is very important during his campaign was the one that he gave to talk about the racial relations in America. And the speech he gave was basically in reaction to a lot of the media attack on him following some of the remarks made by his pastor. He's a radical pastor in Chicago by the name of Jeremiah Wright. And then the opposite camp, the Clinton camp, the media was making use of it. And then in order to basically shed a light on Obama as a potential radical person in following the leftist agenda. It was a very difficult decision, how to take it, difficult plan, how to take on that, how to define, how do you actually meet the media attack and the Clinton attack. Number one, you cannot walk away from your past. You cannot walk away from someone like a friend. And yet, you cannot agree with what Jeremiah Wright said because he was very radical in some of the things that was quoted in the newspapers. And the Obama camp was divided what to do about it. Should they remain silent? Should they Should they actually say something? If they say something, what? Obama camp had been trying to avoid race factor, in the campaign, because even though Obama is a black candidate, he want to rise above this racial politics. He want to appear to be a president for the whole country. So you don't want to get in to try to make race an issue. So the campaign was divided, what to do. And I think Obama basically said, okay, I'm going to write a speech. This is something I would want to speak to the nation about, because I'm black, and this race politics is going to be part of the campaign issue anyway. Let me speak about it now. So he took off, 3 days, he didn't campaign. Basically, he ran into whatever he did, just in the room, just write his speech. After he sent his draft to his campaign advisors. All the people who originally have second thoughts about this speech, when they saw Obama's draft, they said, that's why you should be president. Because the speech he gave in Philadelphia, called A More Perfect Union, was a speech that defined him as a candidate, defined him as one to unite the nation. A speech that actually make people who wondering about Obama, going to his camp. If you look at the speech, and I think I invite all of you to do that and go to the YouTube and watch how he delivers it. Basically, what makes a strong speech is basically he using his life experience as a black, talk about what a more perfect union means to a black, to a white, to someone interested in American, in American politics. So of course, none of us, most of us, will not have that occasion to make a speech like that. Okay, and if you have that occasion, I hope you rise to that. What makes a speech good is basically you communicate to your audience who you are. So it's the thoughts that count. It's a character that you're trying to communicate. And I think coming down to every day in our life, we don't make political speech all the time, but we do have to communicate to our audiences all the time. Whether you are just a professor talking to your students, whether I'm here sitting on the stage talking to you, whether you are someone who's going to a job interview, or a college interview, university interview. I remember I have students come to me, sit down in front of me, and say, just tell me who you are. When I interview them, right, for admission to UST. They got how many minutes? I would say they get probably 1 minute. I wouldn't say that, but you got 1 minute, but my body clock has 1 minute on it. so by 1 minute, I wanted to decipher if this is person, who it is. I could be wrong, but I would form impressions. Your audience will form impressions. So that 1 minute is very important. So 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, you got to make your points, deliver your points. It's really about who you are, what you're trying to communicate to people across the room, whether it's one-on-one, 1-to-2, or like something like this. So I think what you have done during this contest is that, I believe, is that you have the chance to practice, putting your ideas in that format and learning communicating this in the most sincere way, in a way to communicate your character as well as your content. So I want to share with Rosanna and Bethy and all the judges who are organizers here about the importance of this English public speaking activity. I think this is something which is very important. I think many schools should be participating in this, and you are so bold. The 2,100 of you are just so bold, and take the time to do it. And I know that you'll be reaping rewards because of your participation. So, again, congratulations, and keep keep on the good work. Thank you so much.